Howdy everybody, Steve here, KM9G. You know I've been playing with this Kenwood TS570 for a while. It's time for the old girl to go back on the shelf. You can't operate every radio all at the exact same time, and sometimes you get radios just to play with. I've had this radio for a good long time. I've really enjoyed playing with it. I am amazed at the features. Hopefully I brought you along for enough of the journey that you were pretty amazed as well. One of the things I wanted to do was make sure that this thing didn't get damaged in storage or in shipping or in the hands of a future ham. I want this thing to be preserved for as long as it's able to live and as long as people want to breathe life into it. What do we turn to today? Today the rage is Pelican style cases, plastic hard cases with foam inserts, and they're a little tricky. They come in all different shapes and sizes. They come from all different countries. They come in all different qualities. They come with a whole bunch of features you may or may not need. A couple of things that were important to me: needed to be waterproof, needed to have that foam packing stuff on the inside, and needed to be big enough to hold the radio. And they do these things in a weird way. They give you the dimensions of the outside, or they give you the dimensions of the inside, but not necessarily the dimensions that are usable on the inside, taking into account the foam and the shape of the case and so on. So I took a long time to find a good case for this and did a lot of measurements and did a lot of homework. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do this. This is the one that I stumbled on. So first you can see I took some measurements of the outside of the radio, and I wanted height, width, depth of the radio. I also wanted to lay out the things that were important that go in the case. This radio is useless without its microphone, and it's useless without its power cord. All the rest of the stuff I kind of swap around between different radios, so that doesn't belong to this radio, that belongs to the ham shack, and it's in a priority mailbox. It's in a box somewhere stored for future use. Now that we've got that squared away, we need to go and grab some measurements and figure some stuff out. This radio is about 15 pounds, which is one of the reasons why I don't want to just put it into a cardboard box or back into its original shipping box, which I don't even have anyway. As a result of that, this is the box that I found. Here are the measurements of this box. You can see that it's a certain size on the outside, and then I also took measurements of the inside just to verify. And then I wanted to make sure that there was foam in the bottom to support and protect from the bottom, and foam in the lid to support and protect from the lid, because you got to have top and bottom and left and right and front and back. You got to sandwich all the things all around. Once I got that squared away, everything looked good. The weird part is that it came with pick and pluck foam on one layer and solid foam on the other layer. I don't know what they were thinking. I'm not complaining, I just don't know what they were thinking. Here's a really easy way to get this thing all sorted out. I'm gonna put the radio in the box, and I'm gonna take loose measurements. I've seen some people do this with toothpicks. You can take toothpicks and put toothpicks around the outside, around the perimeter of everything. And then when you pull the radio out, you're left with this perimeter of toothpicks, and you know what the negative space is and what the positive space is. I'm just gonna go ahead and do it this way. I'm just gonna put the radio in and pluck some foam. I wanna make sure I pick up as many whole pieces of foam as possible so that I have good pieces left over if there's a mistake in the end, or if I want to use it for a different project, I have a nice big piece of foam to work with instead of lots and little tiny pieces of pluckins. After that is all squared away, we need to transfer over to the solid piece of foam so I can cut it, and it's black foam. So I could use a black Sharpie, but I've got gold Sharpies and silver Sharpies for writing on darker colored surfaces. So here's my gold Sharpie that I'm gonna use, and I'm just gonna draw a nice little outline. I'm not too worried about getting the Sharpie mark on the foam because that'll be the bottom side of the foam. Now that that is all done, grab your wife's favorite kitchen knife, the one that she uses all the time, make sure it's good and sharp and ready for you, and get to cutting the foam. And I tried to cut with a little bit of thought as to not cut the surface of the table because it's a fancy table, but also what's going to have some structure to resist the knife just enough structurally so that I'm not cutting in circles and arcs and so on. So I'm cutting in very straight lines. Let the knife do all of the work for you. Take your time. You got all the time in the world to get this thing done. Once it's done, I'm going to put the pluck and pull foam in first, and then I'm going to put the cut foam in on top, and then I'm going to put the radio in and the accessories. Be sure that when you're doing this, you're thinking fourth dimensionally.
Marty, it's perfect. You're just not thinking fourth dimensionally.
Right, I have a real problem with it.
In the height axis specifically, because I could make the pocket for the accessories wider, but it's already deep enough that I can stack those accessories one on top of the other and be perfectly fine with it. So that's what I'm going to do here, which is why there's a very narrow column where I'm putting in the accessories. And when we're all done, let's give it a nice test fit. I don't want to crush the lid down so that it's too tight. It should close easily, snap easily, and be good to go. And here's our finished product. I think it turned out fantastic. What do you think? There are some techniques that I've heard people do with Plasti-Dip or Flex Seal paint, plastic paint, rubberized paint. I kind of don't like the way that turns out. I'm not 100% sure that this case is going to get that kind of duty cycle to where I really need to protect the foam for all time. You can buy replacement foam inserts. That's not a problem, but they are actually kind of expensive. It's kind of shocking how expensive the replacement foam inserts are. Time will tell how this thing works out, and I'm hoping that this will keep its duty cycle forever. I don't think that I'll need to rearrange this or redo this in the future, because of this is for storage purposes and for shipping purposes, so that this radio doesn't get damaged in the future. There are some links down below where you can get this case. This is a Costway case, not a name brand, nothing special, which means decent price. I did look at Harbor Freight cases. They were either too big or too small, and this is what I landed on. So like I said, there are plenty of varieties, and after you're done checking out those links, take a look at this video right over here. Thanks for being awesome. I'll be over there waiting for you.